覚悟はいいな。
あ
もう
この音はクロヤンやったんか。からなんなんや。
お前には見えんのか。カメラだ。亀の王様、宇宙怪獣カメラマルシ角川映画だ。うわ
このようなことして権利関係大丈夫なんか。
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Anime Kitchen, the show where we bring the food of anime and other media to life. Today's episode, we're tackling the turtle bread from Yakitate Japan. This is an anime I hadn't heard of until one of our lovely kitchenettes, I guess we'll roll with that for now, Clarice M requested it, so after doing a little bit of research, we're going to make a matcha milk bun topped with a matcha cookie shell to create what may just be the cutest thing on this channel since the seal on Mirage from Fire Force, which you can check out in the top right corner by clicking the eye. With all that being said, aprons on, let's go. To start off our dough, we're going to combine 5 grams of dried yeast with 180 milliliters of warm milk. Give this a good stir and then set it aside for 5 minutes. Next, in a mixing bowl, preferably a microwave safe one, don't use a metal one like I'm using here, crack in 1 egg and then you're going to add in 50 grams of maltose syrup. This is a thick sugar syrup used in a lot of Chinese cooking and it's actually a lot less sweet than traditional syrup. So if you can't find this, substitute it with 50 grams of white sugar instead for a slightly sweeter bun. Now maltose syrup is super sticky and thick at room temperature, making it very hard to work with, so if you need to at any point during the mixing process, you can put this in the microwave for 5 seconds just to help it loosen up a little bit. Next we're adding in 30 grams of matcha powder to the bowl along with our warm yeasty milk mixture. Give this a thorough mix until everything is well combined, especially the maltose syrup, and again like I said before, if the maltose syrup is getting too sticky, you can just microwave this mixture for 5 seconds to help it out. Also before we get further into today's episode, I need to credit this recipe to Rico. He's a fellow foodie YouTuber whose video I've put in the description below. His videos are all in Mandarin, but he's doing an incredible job over on his channel, so if you're interested, definitely check him out. Next up, in another mixing bowl, we're going to sieve together 320 grams of bread flour, 80 grams of all-purpose flour, and 15 grams of milk powder. Give that a mix before adding in 30 grams of softened unsalted butter along with your wet ingredients. Mix this together with a spoon until it starts to form into a dough, then get your hands involved and knead this for a solid 5 to 10 minutes until you have a soft dough that springs back when you press into it like this. Once this baby is nice and well kneaded, you're going to leave it in the bowl, covering with plastic wrap and letting it rest in a warm space for 1 hour or until it's doubled in size. While the dough is resting, we're going to be making our matcha cookies. Into a mixing bowl, we're adding in 1 egg, 50 grams of softened unsalted butter, 15 grams of matcha powder, 30 grams of sugar, and sifting in 130 grams of all-purpose flour. Then like our bread dough from before, we're going to mix this until it just starts to combine into a dough, and then we're going to knead it until it becomes one cohesive mass. Once everything comes together, you're going to cover this with plastic wrap and refrigerate this dough for 30 minutes. Now that our dough has rested for an hour, admire how much he's grown before ever so carefully punching the air out of it. After knocking the air out of the dough, we're going to turn it out and divide it into quarters. Once the dough is divided, roll 3 of the 4 quarters into round, taut balls, ensuring the tops are nice and smooth. Set these aside on a lined baking tray while we make the heads and limbs. With the remaining quarter of dough, we're going to roll it into a log and divide it into thirds. Then for each third of dough, we're going to divide that again so that we can make the head and legs for each turtle bun. For the head, you want to roll a piece of dough into a smooth ball before pinching one side to make it more of a teardrop shape. Place the pinched end underneath the body to help it stay in place. Then for the legs, we're going to again roll out the dough into smooth balls and pinching one end of it until it's flat enough to get underneath the body. Next, using a pair of scissors, we're going to make 2 vertical cuts into the dough so that it creates the little nails for our turtle bun. Repeat this process with your remaining dough and then assemble your turtle buns before setting aside. With the turtle buns now formed, we're going to unwrap the chilled cookie dough and roll it out between 2 sheets of baking paper until it's half a centimeter thick. After rolling out the dough, we're going to use a bowl that's a little bit larger than the body of the turtle bun to cut out the cookies to create the base for our shells. Once they're all cut out, we're going to create the shell pattern on the cookie using your utensil of choice. A butter knife works really well for this. You're going to want to get fairly deep with this scoring as it'll help with decorating later, but be careful not to cut through your cookie dough. When you finish scoring all your shells, you're going to complete your turtle buns by topping each of them with a cookie shell before covering and allowing the buns to proof for an additional 30 minutes. When the buns have finished their second proof, you can remove their covers and bake them for 18 to 20 minutes at 170 degrees Celsius. Once your turtle buns are done baking, you're going to remove them from the oven and let them cool off on the tray for a few minutes before transferring over to a wire rack to cool down completely. After the buns have cooled, we can decorate them with some melted chocolate. Using a wooden skewer, we're going to give these guys 2 eyes. The first one is a little bit wide-eyed, but that's okay, he's just got a wider range of vision to help with survival. Definitely not an aesthetic mistake on my part. Then, using a piping bag with some more melted chocolate, we're going to fill in the hexagonal scoring on the shells to give these buns a little bit more character and visual appeal. Once you're done piping the chocolate, just let it sit for a few minutes until it begins to harden, and then take a moment to enjoy how adorable these buns turned out. And there you guys have it, the turtle bread from Yakitate Japan. Seeing as this is a turtle and ASMR is a really big thing right now, I guess the only thing left to do is to give it an apple and you can Okay, well I guess the only other alternative is that you're gonna listen to me eat the turtle instead. So be around there in a second.
Now are you guys ready for some turtle eating ASMR? Why do people enjoy this?
Okay, so dumb ASMR bit aside, this is an odd recipe if I'm being honest. The bread itself is very savoury. It definitely has a great green tea flavour, but since maltose syrup is only about 60% as sweet as regular sugar, it's pretty much done nothing to sweeten the dough. Taking a bite with the shell and the chocolate definitely makes it more palatable, but even then it's still quite savoury. Now I know what I'm doing on screen right now is pretty brutal, but to show you guys properly, the crumb of this bread, while quite moist, is also quite dense, which I don't think is really ideal for a dessert bun, since this is essentially just a matcha version of a pineapple bun. It could definitely benefit from a sweet filling, something like a red bean paste comes to mind since this is a matcha bun. If you're interested in me reworking this recipe for a future video, let me know in the comments. As always guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, drop it a like and share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much again to Clarice M for requesting this episode. Visually, I think we did a great job, but like I said, I'm definitely keen to rework this recipe in the future. Let me know what food from anime or other media you want to see me make next, and subscribe to the channel for a new episode every week. And until then, roll up your sleeves, slap on an apron, and I'll see you in the anime kitchen. Peace.